Hey everyone, Rich Bennett here. I'm excited to tell you about something we're doing for National Recovery Month. Here at Conversations with Rich Bennett, we're holding a special event called the Podathon for Recovery, 12 Days of Hope. For 12 consecutive days, we'll release a new episode dedicated to powerful conversations about addiction, recovery, and hope. And we're doing this to raise vital funds for an incredible nonprofit, Rage Against Addiction. They are on the front lines providing sober living homes, recovery coaching, and essential support to families. We believe recovery is a journey worth celebrating, and your support can make a tangible difference. Every donation, no matter the size, goes directly to them, helping to save lives and provide a second chance. So please join our mission. You can start donating right now. Simply go to conversationswithrichbennett.com and you'll see the donation thing right there so you can donate and help these women in recovery. Welcome to a special episode of Conversations with Rich Bennett. This is a part of our Podathon for Recovery, 12 Days of Hope, our mission to raise money for Rage Against Addiction. My co-host Wendy Beck and I will be sharing powerful stories of addiction, recovery, and resilience to help break the stigma and show that hope is always possible. Your support helps Rage Against Addiction provide life-changing resources, and you can donate right now by visiting our GoFundMe link in the show notes. We are so grateful you've joined us on this important journey. Now let's get into today's conversation. So I am joined today by my lovely co-host, Wendy, and we have a special guest on with us today. We have Mandolyne Eleazar, who is going to share her story with us. And now I'm going to let the boss take it over.
Hi, Mandolyne. How are you?
I'm good. How are
Fine,
you?
thank you. Well, we met because she responded to a post that I put out on our Rage Facebook page. We will showcase loved ones that have been lost to an overdose in August, specifically on August 31st for Overdose Awareness Day. And she actually reached out to me and shared a picture of her son and said that she was interested in volunteering or helping. And I said, well, I think would be great if you would want to share your story with us. And that's where we kind of got together. And now here we are today. And I'm just going to start by letting you kind of, lead the way in how you want to talk about it, because I know it's a sensitive subject. If I'm not mistaken, it was in November of 2024, which was recent, very recent.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So again,
not even a year.
I'm very sorry for your loss.
Thank you. And it's a, honor being on this show and being able to share the story. I think a big thing I've noticed is people don't like to talk about this stuff. And I think it's important because I do feel now that time's passed, people moved on with their lives. I'm trying to figure out a new way to live this life without him. It's harder to talk about now than I feel like it was maybe a month or two after he passed. And I think it's just people don't talk about a lot of this enough. So, but yes, he had just turned 18 November 1st. We were planning we had a trip planned for Mexico for his 18th and his brother's 16th birthday. But, unfortunately, he did pass a few days before we were supposed to leave to go on that trip. So, it's been tough. He had, some goals, and yes, he struggled.
Can I?
He was, yeah. Go ahead.
I want to ask about his struggles, like when it started, because I think a lot of people don't understand, when something like this happens, losing a loved one to an overdose, there's a lot of different scenarios. I always say that the grief of an overdose death is very complicated. So with my daughter specifically, she struggled for a long time. She struggled for about 10 years. So that took us through the entire, we went through everything that you go through almost. And so I was curious, at him being 18, when did his addiction start? Or when did you realize?
Yeah, of course. Well, I think when he was about, 13, 14, he, experimented with marijuana, tried alcohol too, wasn't his thing. His father and I got divorced in 2019. I might be getting these dates wrong, so I apologize.
That's okay.
But we got divorced, and then shortly after, his great-grandfather, who was my grandfather, they were extremely close, had passed away due to complications of COVID. So with a mixture of those things, I think I know he felt like his two father figures were, one left him, one was abandoning him in his mind. And he just struggled a lot. And as he got older and met new people and kind of, was trying to find a way to cope with that pain, eventually he found his way to opioids. And it wasn't something I think that he ever planned or wanted.
Right.
And with opioid addiction, it just can grab you and never let go, no matter how much you try.
Exactly.
My mom as well has been an addict since probably my whole life. But
Wow.
so he wanted to get better. He had goals. Got his GD. Was planning on joining the military and continuing to pursue his music career with the money he would make from the military and try to make a difference in the world. He had moments of strength and hope and healing. He was in continuous therapy. He did a few stays at a wonderful, wonderful residential facility for teens up in Connecticut called Newport Academy.
Okay.
And then a few other stays at other facilities. And, addiction is just so powerful. And often I think it's misunderstood as well. So he had been clean for about 9 months from opioids. And then, he finally lost his battle to the toxic effects of fentanyl on November 24th, 23 days after his 18th birthday. So, he did try. He tried, and life,
And it's not an uncommon story. It as
Yeah.
heartbreaking and as personal as it is, it's not an uncommon story. One of the things that I feel is a success to you and your family was to get him in treatment at such a young age. Being a minor,
Yeah.
it is extremely difficult to find a treatment center that will even take minors from where
Yes.
you
Mhm.
are located to getting him to Connecticut. Was he receptive to that, or was it a struggle at that point?
So, he had gone to a few state-funded facilities, and unfortunately, those were not, I would say, helpful in his, positive progression. And then, as a teenager and even as adults, we think we know everything, right? So his first, it was a 3-month residential stay, his first time there. Um, he just didn't want to put in the work. He didn't think he needed to be there. He would say, "No, I'm not an addict. I can stop whenever I want." Um, he even tried to run away from there a few times, but eventually he realized, well, this place is really trying to help me. I think it was probably because there's different levels to what you would get. So you would be rewarded, if you reach a certain level, you could get more TV time or more phone time, or you get to go outside for longer periods. So eventually he's like, okay, well, I'm not going to be able to do anything unless I start trying. And so I think month 2 of his first stay, he started to really try to put in the work, because you only get what you give, in my opinion,
Yes.
with therapy in general. And he learned quite a bit of coping mechanisms, met a really good friend there that they ended up being really good friends out of the facility. And I think one of the biggest things that helped us as a family, as far as like my relationship with him, because he was just angry that I even put him, in there. But I was just trying to save his life.
Right.
I didn't want this to happen, and I wanted to be able to, you know, celebrate all of those wins with him, and so we tried our best, and but one of the things that really helped us, I think, was family therapy in those sessions. They were virtual, so just because of COVID and everything, they weren't having
Mhm.
people in on site, but it really helped us learn how to communicate with each other, with our different communication skills, and just me trying to find better ways to say what I need to say to him without, using the right words, I think,
Right.
because when we're going through things, I feel like sometimes you just spit things out, whether you're angry, sad, upset, and it's not really what you're trying to say. It just comes
Mhm.
off. And then, people perceive things differently as well. So that really helped us. I think the first stay was to communicate and try to listen, and just be able to build our relationship better. And then he stayed there again last, not, 20 January 2024 for 2 months. Um, and he learned even more coping skills, and he even, our relationship, I just felt like kept getting better, and he was able to talk to me more. And he didn't feel so ashamed of his addiction and his mental
Mhm.
health. He started to talk about it more. Even in his music and his drawings, he started to put it into his art, hoping that he could help somebody else as well.
What was the timeline for this? I mean, you said it was 13, started experimenting with drugs and possibly alcohol at the age of 13. And when did he go
Mhm.
into the first facility? When did you guys decide we need to do this? And what age was he? Can you remember that?
Well, now my dates are all over the place. I would say, um, I had tried to start them on therapy after their father and I had gotten divorced. I just thought, I wanted them to kinda talk it out, and,
Yeah.
so
Smart.
and it's not I think there's a preconceived notion that if you're in therapy, something's wrong with you, and
Mhm.
I don't believe that. I think sometimes we don't have the right resources to just talk about life, we don't have the right people around us just to talk about, "Oh, I had a bad day at work," and it those are resources for us.
Yes.
So,
And
yeah.
I like the way that you said that because I am the mother of a teenage addict, and she passed away when she was 24. And one of the things that you're saying, the immediacy of the family counseling, I think is so important. And I don't really think that
Mhm.
we can stress that enough because during that time for me, I didn't really have any idea what was going on with her. It was very hush hush. It
Yeah.
was very secret. She was very private about it, and I wish that I had had those resources. So, going back and thinking, if you could present your wisdom from what you've learned to families that are listening, how, okay, let me see how if I can kind of convey this the way I want to. How do you get people to realize that what you said, which I think is brilliant, that you don't have to be sick in order to go to therapy? It's a tool to help people learn how to communicate because
Mhm.
you've got a teenager, which are very hard
Yeah.
to communicate with. You have a traumatic event that just happened with a loss and a divorce. Again, another reason that we need to communicate. So when you had this type of communication with him, was he starting to open up to you about what was
Yeah,
going on?
Yes, he did start. And first it came out in therapy, and I told, I have 3 boys, and I tell all of them when they're in therapy. I think they were scared that whatever they talked about, the therapist was going to tell me, or their
Mm,
father. And I start any therapy relationship, like if they switch therapist, I say, whatever they say and confide in you, please keep it. Like, I don't want to know.
right.
My ex-husband doesn't need to know unless they're going to be a harm to themselves or others, because I want them to have a space that they can go to, that they feel comfortable and confident that, nobody's going to, they're not going to run back to mom and say, well,
Mm-hmm.
he's mad at you because you wouldn't buy him this. So it took them a while to, really trust that. You have to build the trust. So after, I would say maybe 2 or 3 sessions with his first therapist as a teenager, I think, like I said, around 14, he had said that he had suicidal ideation. So
Ah,
she had to, talk to me about that. And that's when I was just like, okay, we have to go about this differently. I mean, from birth, he was such a sweet baby, never cried, always, that Gerber smiley baby, was always so well behaved. But, you grow up and societal expectations and things you're exposed to, and then you have trauma and
mm-hmm.
hormones as a teenager, and it just really changes
Yeah,
things.
it
So,
does.
I tried to make a point to him that, it's okay, and I'm here to support you, and we'll do what we can. And I've had my struggles with anxiety and depression and PTSD. And again, I just think that there's just the stigma around these things, and nobody wants to talk
Mm-hmm.
about them, and we don't feel comfortable talking about it. So, I just tried to encourage that and build some kind of trust. And it wasn't always there because, I'm human and I've screwed up and said things that I wish I could take back. But, we just learn from those things
Yeah.
and try to push forward and build our relationship. And it's true. I don't think you have issues just because you talk to a therapist or you see a psychiatrist. It's just, mental health is just as important as physical, your body. And I think the more we talk about it and the more we kind of, encourage people to not see it as a bad thing, I think it could
Mm-hmm.
change the way that people view mental health and view addicts and what they're going through. Because I think for my mother, I think if she would have had different support and different love and understanding from the people around her, I think her story could have been different,
Here's the thing about that too, because a lot of people have no problem talking to a friend, a family member, sometimes even a stranger
Yeah.
about things.
Hmm.
But yet, you're right; they won't go to see a therapist at all. And here's my take on it: if you talk to a family member or a friend or that stranger, they don't have the education, they're not licensed to tell you the right things, and it's very easy for somebody to tell you the wrong thing.
Hmm.
I think if you go see a therapist, and in all honesty, I believe everybody should. Why not? Everybody's got some type of trauma in there somewhere.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with talking to a therapist, but there could be a lot wrong with talking to somebody that's not trained properly to respond to your
Right.
problem.
Well, everyone
Yes.
has their opinions. So, and
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
where the stigma falls in. And that's where
Hmm.
I really feel like we have underestimated what trauma, divorce, the death of a loved
Hmm.
one actually does is to anyone, but even to our youth. So we're not
Oh yeah.
even realizing what's going on is cumulative, and it's something that
Yep.
no matter like how much they go through, they kind of have to heal from all of it. And
Yes.
unfortunately with addiction, I it's a beast. It truly is. It's very
Uh,
hard. And you mentioned that he has siblings. You have other children. How old are they? Are they older, younger?
He had two younger brothers. One is 16. He's born November 30th, and my eldest was born November 1st. So they're 2 years apart. And then the youngest is 9.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the 9-year-old, I think it'll hit him differently eventually. But he's taking it, a little better than I expected. But I think it's just he just tries to see, his perception of things is different at that
It
age.
is.
And a lot of it is, oh, he's still here with us, or meaning spiritually, and
Right.
oh, this reminds me, and he has his stuffed animals and things like that. So I think he feels though he's still with him, and the impact to him is different. Whereas the 16-year-old, oh, it's heartbreaking. I mean, they were close, to only 2 years apart, and my 16-year-old doesn't know a life without his older brother. When he was born, he always had his older brother there. And, I know a life without my 16-year or my 18-year-old, which it doesn't make it any better, but, I can't imagine being 16, losing one of the most important people in your life who you confide in, and then having to deal with, being a 16-year-old,
Yeah.
in this, in this generation, and what they have to deal with. And, it's so heartbreaking, and we want to fix it and take away all the pain, but we can't. It's not something that him or I or anyone can just go over or go under. We have to go through it. And I keep trying to, you know, um, remind him that it's okay to be sad. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be angry. These are stages of grief that you need to go through. You can't push away and ignore, or else it's never going to go away.
Right.
You just feel it. You have to feel it. So it's been tough. He's been going to therapy, but then he stopped because he was like, it's not helping me. And I think, that's when we try to find a different therapist that will connect with him in a different way.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest, I've had therapists that did not help me because we didn't connect, and that's okay. So we just have to find, someone we can connect with and understand and help us in the ways that we need.
And since we're going to air this August for Overdose Awareness Month, I mean, I know that there's a lot of families that are impacted by this exact situation. And if you want to just kind of maybe talk to us about the impact on your family, that how it has changed the dynamic, besides therapy, is there anything else that you guys are doing to sharing this podcast is very helpful. I mean, hopefully to you, but to other people as well. I know personally, there's periods of time that talking about it felt good. And then there's periods of time where talking about it does not feel so good. And, I, doing the Rage Against Addiction and kind of, pursuing helping other people, it almost sometimes feels like I can talk about her so almost nonchalant. Do you know what I mean? But inside, it's not the same when I'm sitting by myself. And I here we go. This is going to make me cry. I walked into a store this weekend, and here we go. Guns N' Roses' Sweet Child of Mine was playing on the radio. And I just immediately got this lump in my throat. And the person that I was with had no idea that this was happening. Like, I'm starting to tear up now. And, I remember when that song was, new and she was little, and it was just so endearing and so deep. And it like almost took my breath away. And I didn't even mention it. I didn't say, and I was glad that I could pull myself together and continue on with what I was doing. So people don't understand. And one of the things that you said was that it might have been easier to talk about it in the beginning, but as time goes on, it seems like people are over it, but we're not.
No.
Yeah.
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 So,
and I honestly, I don't think this is something that you can get over.
And I didn't mean it that way, but yes.
No.
I was just like, I don't want to get over it. I don't want to get over it.
Well, was this one person that I was friends with at the beginning of this journey who said something to me, and you can guess after I tell you if we're still friends, but they were like, I've been here for you, and I just, you just need to get over it and move on. And I was like, okay.
Wow.
So you can guess if we're still friends.
I hope not, but I also, I lost friends and people that I had been, friends and close to my whole life. And I'm not really sure what happened. I'm not really sure if they couldn't relate, so they could not be there for me. It's extremely hurtful. Extremely hurtful. I mean, in your situation, he has not even been gone a year, and for someone to say that to you is, I guess, it's awful. It truly is. I mean, I'm getting to a point of 10 years, and someone better not ever say that to me.
Mandy, one thing you can remember, or remember this: you'll meet a lot of new friends along the way. And Wendy, you could probably vouch for this. You've met so many new people along the way that they always have your back as well.
Yes.
And they'll be there at the drop of a dime if need be.
Absolutely.
Is that the right? Is that a Wendyism? Drop of a dime?
I don't know.
Phone call, whatever, drop of whatever.
I know what you're saying.
You know what I meant. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I will say that, even with my grandfather's loss, because he was like my father, he raised me and we were extremely close. You learn who's really, truly, genuinely there for you.
Yes.
And I learned that with my grandfather and with the divorce and, going through the stuff with my sons. Because you learn who will answer the phone or the text at 2 a.m. when you're like, I feel like I can't breathe, because that happens.
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't know what I would do without those people, especially now. My boyfriend, certain members of my family, my best friends, my kids. I don't know what I would do without them. And, I'm grateful to meet you both because I know that, there's people, like you said, we've yet to meet. And I appreciate those people that are going to be there, whether it's just this chapter or for the rest of my life. People are there for periods, and I just don't know, people always would say I'm such a strong, independent person because I've had to be that way growing up. But with this, it's so hard.
Mm-hmm.
And there are times where I just want to, be able to do everything again the way I used to. And you just can't, you have to find different ways of doing things and, leaning on the right people.
Well,
and I'm trying to,
I'm trying. It is super early. And, I'm not an expert in grief. I am only have my own journey. And there's a couple things that people have told me, like good people have told me along my grief path that really resonated with me. One of the things in my early grief was that someone said to me, about their own daughter that they had lost, is that they felt like they were wearing like glasses, like sunglasses, but I'll use my daughter's name, like Kelsey. Like I was wearing Kelsey glasses. And what that meant was that at that time, after her early passing, there was nothing that was happening that didn't have to go through the Kelsey glasses first to get to me.
Yeah.
So, it was a holiday. I thought of her. It was everything. I mean, from the song on the radio to the food that we were eating to the store to the everything had to be filtered through those glasses. And I honestly felt like the first year, was hard because it was the first birthday, it was the first Christmas, it was the first Easter. But then, as you mentioned, people stop checking on you. They're not as concerned about you. They think that you're doing okay. And so then you become very lonely.
Yeah.
That year 2 is
Yeah.
very lonely. And for me, and that's not going to be it's for you, everyone is different. Year 3, I felt like I pulled my head out of the sand like I was an ostrich, and I'm looking around and I'm like, wow, life is continuing to happen. And I don't even know where I was, to be honest. I was still getting up. I was still going to work. I was still doing all the things that I thought I was supposed to do, but I really wasn't there. I wasn't there for
Yeah.
myself. I wasn't there for my other child. And we're still working through some of that stuff today. It wasn't because I didn't love her. It wasn't because that I was trying to neglect her. I was dealing with an unimaginable grief that I couldn't have predicted how I would have handled it.
Absolutely.
So now, 10 years removed from that, I can look back and I can see where my journey has taken me. And here today talking to you, and for all of those people who are out there that, do feel alone and have lost family members and friends because of the stigma, or they don't know what to say, you're going to find people who you can connect with that will be better for you. And
Yeah.
I know that sounds crazy, but, some people don't understand. They just don't
No.
understand.
No. Yeah. I agree. And even though I'm going through this, I've never been through this before, even losing, my grandfather and losing other family members, you still don't know how to grieve each person or each
Yeah.
even divorce.
Everybody's different.
Yeah, everybody's different. And, um, you know, I guess with all of the things that life has brought me through, I've gotten better at knowing when I need to lean on others and accepting help. And it's really hard for me because I that's just not who I am. But this has brought me to that understanding that I need to, because I have so many emotions, that I just don't want to direct them into the wrong outlets. Because
Mhm.
if we scheduled this podcast last week, I probably wouldn't have shown up because I was in bed and I was, going through it.
Right.
And it comes in waves. I just want to make sure that I am directing this pain and energy into something that I can hopefully make a positive impact for somebody else. Because there's just so many emotions. I mean, I could be happy one second and wanting to scream and cry the next. And like you said, with walking into the store and hearing a song, I was doing some photography for the Offspring concert the other weekend, and I've seen them a few times. And he plays this one song about somebody they lost, and I put my camera down and I was just bawling. Like, if anybody had looked at me and it wasn't
Mm.
100 degrees in Florida sweating, they probably been like, "What is wrong with her?" And I've heard that song a million times, and I've seen them live a few times, and I just could not hold it in, and it felt good after, it felt good.
Right.
And one of my friends was with me, and she's like, "I didn't wanna look over at you because if I saw you crying, I was gonna cry." And I was like, "It's okay. Like, we could cry together, but,
Mhm.
it's it's just so different now." I see, because he loves Pokemon and
Oh,
Mario and Sonic, so when I went to see that movie, I'm crying at the end, and everybody's like, "Why?
Right.
What?"
I know. Yeah,
But
it's true.
those are those things that you just connect with. I see a little Elmo or just things that he loved, and I'm just like, he should be here, or the things that we've talked about, and they just open that, what is it, that Nintendo world at Universal or whatever, and, "Oh, you didn't know about that? Well, now you know."
I didn't know it. Wow.
What is
Okay.
that? Right.
So it's like,
Mhm.
yeah, so, I'm like, "Oh, he should be here. These are the things that we would talk about and be excited about and travel for." And, I still try to do those with his brothers, but I also feel like, and I don't know if this is something that you went through or still go through, I feel like I have to hide that from them too, because I have to make sure that they're okay, and that if I'm sad about these things, and, they're going to be sad, and I'm trying to just, keep myself together, but I just want to break down and cry, because I'm trying to protect them, but am I really protecting them,
Have you asked your therapist that?
Yes, we talk about it
Okay.
often.
Okay.
Yes, so, I don't know if other, mothers or fathers feel that way, and they don't have therapists,
Right.
to talk
Yeah.
to, so
I think
it
that
it's tough.
for me, personally, my girls were 14 years apart. So my youngest did not know her the way
Okay.
a sibling, like maybe a little bit like your youngest. I'm not saying it's
Yes.
identical, but there was a lot of time in between, for them growing up. So when she was out of the house early, because she was 14, almost 14 when she was born, um, my youngest didn't really grow up with her. So I feel like in a lot of ways she was grieving the relationship that she never got a chance to have.
Ah,
And
yeah.
and I see that now because, you know, she doesn't have the memories that I have. So me grieving someone that is supposed to be extremely significant to her, but she doesn't have that, she doesn't have those glasses on where all that
Right,
stuff kept coming, had to go through that filter for her. Hers is
right.
more based on what people have told her, the memories that she has. And I'm going to be honest, is that as she's getting older, because she's 20 now, she passed away when she was 10, that I
Mhm.
feel like she's starting to remember now because I don't think that she thought it was safe to remember.
Ah, okay. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
she would have to answer that, like, but
yeah,
because she'll say stuff to me now, and I'm like, really? You're remembering something now? Because we hadn't really talked about it in that depth. I don't know if she was scared to bring it up, didn't know how to bring it up. Maybe she just didn't remember, but now, like, some of the trauma and the healing that we've gone through, and we're I don't wanna say on the other side, but we've kinda
work towards
worked
the
towards
others,
the
yeah,
top of that mountain, and,
yeah,
we're kinda slowly, like, healing, and, maybe it's safe to talk about. And
yeah,
it's been 10 years,
yeah,
and she doesn't even know the addiction part of her. She doesn't know the story. She doesn't know what mom went through. All she knows is that mom was still getting me up for school, and I still ate food, and I still had friend dates, and but what was I doing? I don't
right,
even know how I was to her, but in
right,
her mind, there was an abandonment from me while I
yeah,
grieved, and I can't change that.
right. No, I mean, I think I definitely can relate. I think a lot of people can relate. We're going through things that we've never been through, and, someone had told me, and it stuck with me my entire life, the worst thing that you've ever gone through is the worst thing that you've ever gone through. And it's, what might hurt me is going to affect somebody else completely different.
Mhm.
Whether it's anything that has to do with loss, or even, breaking our cell phone, just
Right.
what the worst
Right.
thing
The
is,
worst
it's
thing.
gonna,
Yeah, that's a good
yeah,
point.
my teenager could break a cell phone. My 9-year-old could break his iPad, and he'd probably be shattered to pieces, and he's gonna, his perception and his emotions are gonna be different. And even when, I did break the news to them, and me and their father and their stepmother, they both responded differently. As expected, the youngest had a lot of questions, but, it took us quite a while to get the autopsy, because even when he was found, there was nothing there to, um, really give that answer. So I was even like, he's been clean, and there's no way this is what it is, and
Right.
you wanna think the best in the worst of times. And then when we did get the autopsy, I don't like to necessarily, encourage lying to my children. Sometimes I might try to avoid answering certain things. But I think this was important to talk to him about, or talk to them about, when I did get the autopsy, and say, this was the cause of it. And it only took this amount, which was like, I think 11 micrograms, which is like 11 grains of salt. It's not much. So to explain to my 9-year-old, I put 11 grains of salt in my hand. I said, this is all it took to make your brother go to sleep and never wake up. And he, it helped him understand the dangers of certain
Yeah.
The
things,
severity,
because,
yes. Wow.
and it sucks that we have to do that, but I think it helped him understand, and it kind of helped my 16-year-old as well understand, and I encourage teenagers, and I wish they did this more in school and stuff, but to have Narcan training, to have Narcan in your backpack. I mean, it could just be anybody. I mean, they could probably be, smoking weed or something, and it could be, and you just don't know. And that could be your best friend or your sister, brother, mom, whoever next to you, and you don't know. And I just wish that was encouraged more, in schools and stuff, because the way that things are now is so different. And if we have these resources and we have these tools, I don't understand why we're not pushing them more and giving it to, the population that's vulnerable, and just hope that, we can save a life or two.
Yes. And absolutely. But I feel like we're still in a time when, if someone is not experiencing what we have gone through, they're in that not my child. It's hard to
Yeah.
get people
Yep.
to support, to support organizations that deal with addiction, because, ew,
Yep.
who wants to support that? I want to give to, I don't know, something, animals, or that are
Yeah.
warming, and everybody has a mission, and I'm not saying
Yeah.
anything about that, but I feel like it's harder when you're dealing with people who have the stigma, and the stigma that they can't shake even when they're trying to do good.
Yeah.
And that's hard. That's really hard.
Yeah. No, you make a really good point. And, I've gone to concerts for a long time, since I was a teenager. But, I want to say last year, I really feel like I've seen it more, where there are, especially at festivals, booths with,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, the overdose tent or
Yes.
whatever, um, encouraging people to come get trained. We'll give you free Narcan, learn about us, donate if you have, the extra. And it's nice to see that at those places that are, I mean, people are going to do what they're going to do, but at least we're able to hopefully, save a life. And I think about that with my son too. I think about how much I wanted to be a safe space, and I was in many ways. But if he had felt safe enough around that time, or maybe he was in, the right mental space where he had said to me, I feel the urge to use, and if we were in a world where that conversation could lead to safety instead of silence, maybe things would have been different. We need to, I think, create that kind of space for openness, for harm reduction, for meeting people where they are, because it's out there and it's not going away, as we know. So, I hope that, like, at least I could save a life, or at least encourage others to kind of take a second look at how they're perceiving someone who is on the hold of addiction, just loving them differently.
Yes.
It's not always about somebody who's reckless or something like that. Sometimes people are just trying to survive another day. And I think that's what's kept me away from it is just seeing my mother go through it, my whole life, and then seeing the effects of that. And then my son going through it, it's like, I could easily use all of this as an excuse to just fade away, but I know what that could do, and I don't want to take that chance. And so I'm hoping, to take this energy and whatnot and this pain to help somewhere.
Yes.
Something.
And putting your purpose in your pain, I think,
Yeah.
is what actually heals us. I mean, and like I said, I'm always going to be broken. There's always going to be a big
Yes.
heart. My heart's going to be, shattered in a million pieces and barely put back together. But we have to function. We have other people that are depending on us. And what would the world look like if we all just laid down and gave up? And we can't do that. And that's why it's so important for, I don't want, if I could go back in time and have her here and do something differently to change the outcome, I would do it. But that doesn't seem like that was what my purpose is supposed to be.
Right.
And the other side of that is helping the women that I've helped through the organization is, I can't even imagine not doing that anymore, in my life. It's who I've become because of what I went through, so yeah, I mean, it's like very complicated. Like I said, grief to an overdose death or any kind of substance abuse death is very complicated. We feel isolated. We feel alone. People don't understand. People try to stay away from us, and that's so wrong. It's so wrong. I mean, I can't even put into words that, a human being deserves to be treated like a human being, no matter what they're going through.
I agree. Yeah.
So do you have any questions for her, Rich?
Of course I do.
Okay.
I was just wondering if I was allowed to ask.
Yes, you are. It's your show.
All right. So Mandolyne. No, it's the guest show. Mandolyne, you mentioned that your son was a musician and an artist. So did he write his own songs or?
He did. Yes, he did. Mm-hmm.
Okay, please tell me some are recorded.
So, yes. So interesting enough, he would share some of his music that he wouldn't release with me, more of his vulnerable stuff. But he would never release certain things. I think he was just scared of what people would perceive him as.
Right.
So he did have some stuff released, but then when he passed, the mom that I am, I was able to get into his music vault, as many might say, and there were hundreds and hundreds of songs recorded. I mean, some of it is very raw, freestyling type of stuff, and he's crying. And when I heard those, I was just like,
wow,
breaking inside. But it's also helped heal me a bit, just because he's written songs for me and his dad and just other people. So I did actually release an EP in March, and I've been releasing some singles. And as I get the courage to, I go in there and try to edit more songs and work through his stuff. But yes, he's got a lot of music in there. He started when he was about 13, 14, just, messing around. And then it became something it came so easy to him. We have a family of musicians, and my dad, my biological father, is an awesome guitarist. I'm half Filipino, so we all kind of sing, maybe. That karaoke.
Don't worry, I won't put you on the spot.
We've got a lot of people that play instruments or sing in our family. So, he was exposed to that, and he got that gene. So yes, I work on trying to release more of his music. Different
when you
genres.
say released, you mean on like Spotify?
Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music. And I can give you the link too, so you can check it out. Some of it is, so he was also a little bit of a comedian, so you get a little of that in some of his songs. And then you get some of the heartfelt songs, and just, whatever he was feeling at the time, or, whatever he felt like writing or singing. So yeah, it's nice because I feel like, I'm blessed to have that
I was going to
because
say,
a
it's a
lot of,
gift. It's totally, he
oh
left you
yeah,
a big gift.
Well, and
100.
you're also, the way you're doing it, putting it on Spotify, Apple, and all that, you're creating a legacy for
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. And any plays or things like that, if we do generate any money from it, it's going completely to his brother's future, both of,
Right.
of them. And so, yeah, I mean, he was really talented. And like I said, I'm really blessed because a lot of parents don't have that, they don't have
Mhm.
their children's voice. And I miss him every single day. And I can, go in there and listen to him. And like I said, n
So
nobody really has that.
so how can people find it on I love Spotify.
Yeah.
So how do I find him on Spotify?
His name on Spotify is Lost Multo, Lostmulto.
MULTO.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the EP that I released in March was The Big Bang Theory. He loved physics, and so he has some physics stuff in there. So I try to make it make sense for me when I release
Right.
things, but some things you can't make sense. So, yeah, I used The Big Bang Theory as that.
I thought you meant the show at
Well,
first.
yes, I do love
Okay.
that show. I watch that quite often. But yeah, it's the physics part of it, Einstein and all of that. So
Wow.
yeah, so
And you said he loved the sketch as well?
yes,
So did he have a lot of that as well?
he has a lot of sketches in his book. A lot of it's just, whatever's in his head, I'll just
Right.
draw. And some of it's quite interesting, some of it's entertaining. So he's been doodling since he was little. So sometimes I will put that on Instagram and connect it with a song or something, just so his friends have it. Also, a few of his friends and a few of cousins got some of them tattooed on them. So it's just a way for them to have it and connect,
Right.
Right.
because I could keep it to myself, but
Right.
that's
No,
not
no.
really gonna do anything for me.
Well,
That is awesome.
yes, and
Thank you.
I feel like, our family, all the girl cousins my daughter, we always use the crescent moon as a symbol of her. So, all my daughter and the cousins got a crescent moon tattoo as kind of like remembrance and that type of thing. And, do you have anything else to say, Rich? Because I wanna kind of end it with something.
Oh, God, no, because once she you know me, if the music and everything, and then when she even mentioned that she's part Filipino, I could talk to her for probably hours.
Okay.
So,
And
yeah,
and you're a military vet too. I've got a lot of military in my
Marine Corps,
family.
yeah.
Thank you for your service and
Oh,
and
my, yeah.
sacrifice. But yeah, I mean, I believe it's important to share people's art,
Mhm.
especially if when it's created from a place of emotion and experience. And I mean, he's written me um notes, and I have his I love you tattooed in a flower he drew for
Oh,
me,
wow.
just to kind and a heart he drew for me, just because I feel closer to him.
Yes.
But,
Yeah.
Yes.
my hope was always to share it, and hoping somebody else could connect to it and feel like they can do that too, as an
Mhm.
outlet. 'Cause that's all, sometimes that's all we have when we don't feel like we have anything else.
Well,
Mm.
in honor of Overdose Awareness Month, you are not alone. And I want to end this because this is very important because we tend to get quiet and we tend to not have people talk about them. So can you say his name for us?
Jovanni.
I love that name.
Thank you.
Yes. And we just have to keep saying it.
Yes.
Mm.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so happy that we met and, maybe it won't always be on a screen, but you've got me all emotional as well. So,
No, thank you. I'm so
and don't hesitate
it
to
it
reach out if you're having that moment, Yeah.
Yes.
You as well. I mean, it's interesting because I had started following your page when I was in Maryland, and more so for my mother.
Mhm.
And then who knew years later it would be my son that,
Right.
Mm,
I'm here for. So I'm a firm believer in God. I don't go to church every Sunday, and I'm not one of those, but I look back at my life and I'm like, there's no way I would have gotten through anything without God. And
mhm.
so I believe everything does happen purposefully. Um, and I'm grateful that I was able to be here with you both. And
And we're grateful because your story is gonna hit a lot of
Absolutely.
ears to a lot of people that are feeling exactly like you do, and, they're not alone either. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
thank you both. And if there's anything else I could do for either one of you, please let me know.
Wendy, I understand that Rage Against Addiction is doing something very important, a monthly donor program. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. We are hoping to get our supporters to join us in providing a monthly donation. It can be $5 or it can be more. Whatever you can afford
Right.
really allows us to help plan and increase our fundraising efforts.
Well, why should people become a monthly donor? What are they doing to help?
Their monthly contributions let us plan for long-term projects and respond quickly when urgent needs arise. And I'll give you an example.
Mm-hmm.
We had the need for a new mattress.
Right.
And we've also had urgent needs for refrigerators and washing machines and all of that kind of stuff that comes up. So they tend to need to be replaced, and our women deserve to have the things that they need.
So with the monthly donor program, technically anybody can do it for any amount, and because Rage Against Addiction always needs something. And
Yes.
I've known you for years now, and there's times you've told me you guys needed furniture, you need clothes, and also you're not getting the grants that you used to or the contributions that you used to. So this monthly donor program would definitely help a lot.
Yes.
So if somebody becomes a monthly donor, what is there anything that they're getting in return? Besides, of course, helping those that need it. I know you guys have an excellent newsletter. Would they automatically be
Yeah,
subscribed to
we'll
that?
subscribe you to our newsletter so you'll know what's going on. You can kind of track our progress, um, hear success stories, know the data and like how many women we serve each year, and just be a part of something bigger.
So with this too, I guess they're also going to be, because of the newsletter, they're going to be one of the first ones to find out about events coming up like the Memory Walk and Run, the Basket Bingo, and any other future events that you're doing, the podcast that you do.
Yes.
So they're going to be tied in right away.
Yes.
All right. So how can they become a monthly donor?
You can go to our website, and that is rageagainstaddiction.org, and go to our donate button. And on there, you will have the option to become a monthly donor, and you can put in any amount that you want. Your commitment, big or small, empowers our mission and changes lives every single day. Visit us at rageagainstaddiction.org to become a reoccurring donor and join us in making a lasting impact. Thank you for your compassion, generosity, and belief in a brighter future. Together, we can make a difference. Join us today.